A very special CNBC TV 18 show where the reporting team takes a look back at the people and events that made headlines in the year gone by. I'm Kevin Lee and I'm joined by my colleague Yash Jain. Yash, how was 2018 for you?
Well, Kevin, without a doubt, the biggest highlight out of 2018 for me was the snow trek which I took very recently. I mean, I've always loved trekking, but this time when the temperature dropped sub-zero and it started snowing, I mean, you just can't ask for a better sight. And not just that, that's just one of the many amazing things happened to me in 2018. But I believe 2018 was an excellent year for you as well. Tell us, what was 2018 like for Kevin Lee?
Well, Kevin Lee's 2018 was also pretty interesting. Thank you very much. I did get to travel to China, to Abu Dhabi, to Dubai. Fair bit of traveling there. Also traveled domestically, did a trek myself in Kasol and made a lot of new friends. So all in all, a good year.
So safe to assume that 2018 was an excellent year for both of us, but we cannot say the same when it comes to the Reserve Bank of India. Year 2018 saw the Reserve Bank of India and the central bank embroiled in a very public spat, and amid questions over the autonomy of the Reserve Bank of India, the arm wrestling match culminated in a surprise resignation from then Governor Urjit Patel. CNBC TV 18, Sapna Das and who else but Ritu Singh bring us a wrap of all the action from this tug-of-war and explain why this may not be the end of this particular battle just yet.
The issue of the central bank and the government. Of course, the government respects the autonomy and independence. I can't conceive how an elective sovereign government bringing to the notice and flagging the issue of credit and liquidity can in any way infringe the autonomy.
This, or words in a similar vein, was a popular refrain from the government through much of the second half of the year. But it has done little to take away from the perception among many market watchers that the Reserve Bank of India's autonomy is under threat. The rift between the two had been simmering since the abrupt removal of Nachiket Moore, a close associate of former Governor Raghuram Rajan, from the RBI board. Matters came to a head sometime in early October when the government started consultations with the central bank under the never-before-used Section 7 of the RBI Act to force the RBI to take certain decisions on three key issues. 1. Relook at RBI's capital framework. 2. Relax the rules that send errant banks under the prompt corrective action norms. And 3. Review RBI's Feb 12 circular on bad loans. On all these, when the government pushed, the then Governor Urjit Patel pushed back. So the RBI's board meeting on the 23rd of October, which lasted over 9 hours, ended without a single resolution being passed. The spat spilled out into public domain 3 days later when Deputy Governor Viral Acharya delivered a strongly worded speech at an event in Mumbai. He said, and I quote, "The government that does not respect their central bank's independence would sooner or later incur the wrath of financial markets, ignite economic fire, and come to rue the day that they undermine the regulatory institution." In this, Acharya found support from numerous quarters, including from former RBI Governor Raghuram Rajan.
Dr. Viral Acharya gave the analogy of T20 versus Test match. But let me give you another analogy. The RBI is something like a seat belt. As a driver, the driver being the government, it has the possibility of not putting on its seat belt. But of course, if you don't put on your seat belt, you get into an accident. The accident can be quite severe. So most drivers listen to that annoying noise which comes when you don't put on your seatbelt and actually put on the seatbelt because they know it's for their own good.
Viral Acharya was not the only deputy governor that spoke out against pressures from the government. In a strongly worded speech at Jamshedpur, Deputy Governor N.S. Vishwanathan lambasted the government over the pressure to relax bank lending rules. He said, "It is not that banks have a huge coffer like that of Uncle Scrooge from which they make loans, but it is funds that they raise through deposits that are used for making loans. Banks are not supposed to be shock absorbers of the first resort for difficulties faced by their borrowers, as they do not have the luxury of delaying payments to their depositors." These events stirred up the financial markets And to calm them down, the Finance Ministry issued a placatory statement on the 31st of October that only managed to signal an uneasy truce, and a short-lived one at that. Taking advantage of a rally in emerging Asian markets, which led to a recovery in the rupee and in global crude prices, DEA Secretary Subhash Chandra Garg went on the attack and through a couple of tweets confirmed the government's intention to change RBI's capital framework. And so it was that the meeting of the RBI Central Board on the 19th of November took place amid rumours that Governor Patel could resign. The meeting ended on a stalemate. While the capital requirements for bank was left unchanged, the government got its way with the board agreeing to set up a committee to look into RBI's capital reserves. Through all this, Governor Patel maintained his silence even at the monetary policy press conference on the 5th of December. But 5 days later, with less than 4 days to go for RBI's next board meeting, Patel surprised everyone by resigning as governor, citing personal reasons. Within 24 hours, the government named the former DEA and Revenue Secretary Shaktikanta Das as the 25th governor of the RBI. Governor Das has assured the markets of RBI's continued autonomy and independence. But he added,
Government is not just a stakeholder, but the government of the day runs the economy, runs the country and manages major policy decisions. So there has to be free, fair, objective and very frank discussion between the government and the Reserve Bank of India.
Shaktikanta Das, a veteran of the Finance Ministry and a seasoned bureaucrat, will have an important task at hand as he takes over the governorship of the Reserve Bank of India, and that will be to mend ties between the central government and the regulator. But more importantly, the new governor, who is seen as the government's man, will have to battle prejudices not only to win the confidence of the markets, but also his own colleagues at the Reserve Bank of India. With Sapna Das in New Delhi, in Mumbai, Ritu Singh.
Well, that wasn't the only controversy facing the government this year. When Prime Minister Modi announced his decision to buy 36 Rafale jets from France in flyaway condition more than 2 years ago, the deal was hailed as swift policy action taken for a country in need. However, more than 2 years later, the Rafale deal has become the political hot potato of 2018. Rituparna Bhuyan takes a look back.
On 20th July, as the debate on a no-confidence motion was being discussed in the Lok Sabha, Congress President Rahul Gandhi stunned the nation by hugging his political nemesis Prime Minister Narendra Modi on the floor of the House. But no love was lost between the two as Gandhi attacked the Modi government on several issues, including the €7.8 billion Rafale fighter deal during his intervention on the debate.
The Prime Minister must also explain why this contract was taken away from HAL and the youngsters of Karnataka and given to a businessman who had a debt of 35,000 crores.
Prime Minister Modi rubbished the allegations, terming them irresponsible.
मैं कल्पना नहीं कर सकता हूं कि सत्य को इस प्रकार से कुचला जा सकता है, सत्य को इस प्रकार से रौंदा जाता है.
The opposition had been firing salvos at the Rafale deal since 2017. But it turned on the heat after this year's monsoon session. The Congress party decided to make it a national issue and alleged that there was corruption in the deal and the Modi government facilitated a 30,000 crore rupee offset package that was to be executed by Anil Ambani promoted company Reliance Defence. Anil Ambani maintained that his business rivals are promoting misinformation on the deal.
I have personally written to Shri Rahul Gandhi stating that Congress has been misinformed, misdirected and misled on the Rafale deal by malicious vested interests and corporate rivals.
At the center of this controversy was Paris-based Dassault Aviation, which told cnbc TV 18 that there was no corruption in the deal, all due process got followed, and the joint venture with Anil Ambani promoted Reliance Defence was a conscious business decision.
The choice of Reliance is mine.
But on the 14th of December, there was a twist in the tale. The Supreme Court rejected a petition that sought a CBI probe in the deal. The Apex Court said we are satisfied that there is no occasion to really doubt the process, and even if minor deviations have occurred, that would not result in either setting aside the contract or requiring a detailed scrutiny by the court. The opposition parties led by the Congress disagreed with the apex court and sought a joint parliamentary panel probe.
जिस दिन राफेल मामले पे इंक्वायरी हो गई और वो इंक्वायरी पार्लियामेंट करेगी, जेपीसी करेगी, जिस दिन वो हो गया, दो नाम निकलेंगे, नरेंद्र मोदी, अनिल अंबानी, नरेंद्र मोदी. Thank you.
The Modi government, which had been on the back foot after losing 3 states to the Congress, saw the Supreme Court verdict as a chance to corner the opposition parties on the issue.
और इसलिए हम चाहेंगे कि कम से कम इतना तो हो कि सदन के दोनों सदनों में जो कल तक कांग्रेस पार्टी मांग कर रही थी कि क्वेश्चन आवर सस्पेंड होकर राफेल की डील पर चर्चा हो जाए.
While the government has claimed victory on the issue, opposition parties are nowhere close to abandoning their attack on the Rafale deal. That's because the Supreme Court order alludes to a CAG audit of the Rafale deal, which is yet to be completed. Opposition parties maintain that this makes the clean chit of the apex court null and void. With lawyers like Prashant Bhushan getting ready to file a review petition against the Supreme Court order, it is clear that the biggest political controversy of 2018 will continue on simmering for some more time.
Well, on that note, it's time to slip into a very short break here on CNBC TV 18 Rewind 2018. But don't go anywhere. On the other side, we bring you the story of the world's largest e-commerce deal. Stay tuned.
Now, not a lot of people know, but Kevin is someone who just loves shopping. In fact, he's someone who very often helps me with my shopping as well. So I want to ask you this question, Kevin. What have you gifted yourself this Christmas?
Well, that's right, Yash. In fact, some people might say I have a problem because I spend way more money than I should on video games, which is what I've gifted myself for Christmas as well. But that pales in comparison to American retail giant Walmart, who came shopping to India and netted the largest e-commerce deal in the world. Of course, Indian e-commerce's poster boy Flipkart took center stage and started off Walmart's first chapter of e-commerce growth in India. CNBC TV 18's Priya Sheth reports on how this will intensify the battle between Chinese giant Alibaba and American giants Walmart and Amazon.
For Binny Bansal and Sachin Bansal, who founded Flipkart from a small house and grew it into a multi-million-dollar e-commerce giant, 2018 has been an inflection point. American retail giant Walmart came calling and liked what it saw and picked up a 77% stake in the apparels to books marketplace for a whopping $16 billion. This valued Flipkart at a whopping $20 billion, but more importantly, gave Walmart, which has been largely confined to the cash and carry wholesale market in India, a crack at the Indian B2C market.
When you look at our investment in India, I think the merits are strong. I think Walmart can add value to Indian society. As you know, we've been there for a long time and I've invested time there. And I really do feel like whether it's the food supply chain, supporting Flipkart can make an even bigger difference in the country. And I think the government will see it that way.
Throughout the negotiation stage, or the portion of the stage that found its way to the public domain at least, small traders across the country came out in protest. But in August, the deal got the blessings of the Competition Commission and it went through. Sachin Bansal walked away from the company after the deal, leaving co-founder Binny Bansal in charge of the Indian operations. And despite fears that Walmart would dictate terms, Bansal insisted nothing had changed at Flipkart, not in operations.
So the good news is there is no integration plan, and I mean there was no integration plan. That was the part of the plan, was to not have an integration plan. So we continue to be board run. We have a few people from Walmart on the board. So from a market-facing, consumer-facing standpoint, nothing changes at all from an business operating standpoint. So mostly from a compliance and governance perspective, obviously, we need to make sure we comply with all the policies that Walmart globally has.
And not in aspirations.
It is to do more of the same, to be a global technology powerhouse out of India, the likes of Tencent and Alibaba in China and other companies in the US. So I think that remains the aspiration, with hundreds of millions of people using our services, whether across e-commerce or payments, fintech, and other things we do in the future.
Walmart's acquisition meant Amazon, which had been courting Flipkart to increase its presence in the Indian e-commerce market and keep global rival Walmart at bay in one fell swoop, has had to rework its India strategy and ostensibly eye a stronger presence in the offline retail space.
In this, Amazon is banking on the stakes that it has picked up in department store chain Shoppers Stop as well as Aditya Birla Group's retail chain More. Amazon is also in talks with Kishore Biyani's Future Retail for a sub 10% stake. Expectations are that this deal could be closed in early 2019. But this means that the e-commerce game is going to be played by a new set of rules, especially as the other big threat, that's China's Alibaba, which has a presence in the online retail as well as the digital payment space, raises the stakes. In Mumbai, Priya Sheth.
On that note, it's time to slip into a very short break, but do stay tuned because on the other side, we bring you the biggest newsmakers of 2018.
Welcome back to Rewind 2018. Now is the segment where we take you through some of the faces that made headlines in the year gone by in our Newsmakers segment.
We are discharging our debt to the nation. Justice Gogoi's words made headlines at the start of 2018 but resonated in the apex court through the year and earned him the title of a rebel judge. Now CNBC TV 18's Ashmit Kumar takes us through the turbulent year 2018 has been for Justice Gogoi as well as the Indian judicial system.
Despite a rich body of work, Justice Gogoi truly hit national headlines in January of 2018 when, in an unprecedented move, he joined 3 other sitting Supreme Court judges to speak out against the then Chief Justice of India, Justice Deepak Mishra. Through cryptic responses, the judges seemed to suggest that then Chief Justice, Justice Mishra, acting under external pressures, was selectively assigning high-profile cases to select judges. This press conference was not the only instance in 2018 when Justice Gogoi took an anti-establishment stance. The next point of clash was the elevation of Justice K.M. Joseph from the Uttarakhand High Court to the Supreme Court. When the government made the elevation difficult, it was seen as payback for Justice K.M. Joseph striking down President's rule in Uttarakhand in 2016. An 8-month-long deadlock ensued, at the end of which Justice Gogoi and other members of the collegium got their way and the government approved Justice Joseph's elevation to the Supreme Court.
But I have a suggestion, a slight modification in today's context. Not only independent judges and noisy journalists, but even independent journalists and sometimes noisy judges.
Justice Gogoi's anti-status quo positions, however, led to speculation that his elevation as the next Chief Justice of India might not go through, even though he enjoyed seniority. There were rumors that instead of nominating the next senior-most judge to the top post, as is the norm, the outgoing Chief Justice, Justice Mishra, might just nominate Justice Sikri. But on the 3rd of October, Justice Gogoi took oath as the 46th Chief Justice of India. He was also the first Chief Justice from the Northeastern region. His next test, however, wasn't far away. The government's decision to buy 36 Rafale fighter aircrafts attracted 4 public interest litigations, and the battleground was Justice Gogoi's courtroom. Justice Gogoi dismissed all the 4 petitions that questioned various procedural aspects of the deal being struck, only to find less than 48 hours later the government itself admitted to factual inaccuracies in its submissions, but blamed it on misinterpretation or ambiguous grammar. Critics have also pointed out various contradictions and inconsistencies in the judgment, and with the portions of the order appearing to have been lifted directly from the government's affidavits, the criticisms have only increased. Given the factual inaccuracies that the government has admitted to, the petitioners have termed the judgment void and planned a move for it to be recalled. Well, all eyes now are on 2019 on Justice Ranjan Gogoi's stance in the high drama in the high-voltage Ram Mandir Ayodhya case scheduled for hearing in January of 2019. Now, keep in mind that the BJP comes fresh off a major setback in the Hindi heartland, and also keep in mind that the 2019 Lok Sabha elections are just around the corner. Some say the stakes in the Ram Mandir battle have never been higher. They also say that this would be a perfect test case for the strongman from Assam, Justice Ranjan Gogoi. In New Delhi, Ashmit Kumar.
We may have seen an appointment at the country's apex court in 2018, but the Indian banking space saw big-ticket exits from 3 major banks. 2019 is set to be the year where we see a change of face in the Indian banking system. Here's a report by Ritu Singh.
There is a crisis of leadership emerging at India's top privately held banks, with the chief executives of 3 large banks being forced to exit prematurely. While Chanda Kochhar resigned from the post of MD and CEO of ICICI Bank in October, Shikha Sharma is leaving Axis Bank in December, and Rana Kapoor will be leaving Yes Bank by the end of January next year. The most recent casualty has been Rana Kapoor, the co-founder and CEO of India's 4th largest private sector lender, Yes Bank. Sources with knowledge of the matter told CNBC TV 18 that Kapoor was forced to exit the bank he co-founded because of RBI's concerns over governance, accounting practices and underreporting of bad loans. Since then, concerns relating to corporate governance following multiple board-level resignations and potential conflict of interest due to Rana Kapoor's family companies investing in other lending institutions have also plagued Yes Bank, with several rating agencies downgrading the stock. Kapoor's successor is due to be named very soon. Chanda Kochhar, one of the first women to head a bank in India, shattered many glass ceilings along her meteoric rise at the country's largest private bank. 56-year-old Kochhar, who rose to occupy the corner office at ICICI Bank in 2009, led the bank for almost a decade before allegations of conflict of interest, lack of disclosures, and quid pro quo while dealing with loans to Videocon Group consumed her otherwise spotless career. In the face of these allegations, Kochhar chose to quit from the bank in October. The bank has already named Sandeep Bakshi, a long-time veteran of the ICICI Group, as its chief executive officer for a period of 3 years. Another ICICI Bank prodigy, Shikha Sharma, will be leaving Axis Bank by the end of this year. Sharma paid the price of aggressive growth strategy that she adopted during her tenure and faced the worst when the infrastructure lending boom cycle turned. The bank was left with a large pile of bad loans, much like its peers. But just like Yes Bank, it also reported a large divergence, raising questions on underreporting. To add to the pressure, the bank came under fire during demonetization for allegations of money laundering activities through some of its branches. The bank has now appointed HDFC Life's Amitabh Chaudhary to succeed Sharma when her term ends.
The message is loud and clear. The regulator has decided to get tough, and the cleanup at the Indian banks will continue even with casualties along the way. Now, with the face of the Indian banking changing, the new leadership will have to operate in an equally tough, if not tougher, environment. In Mumbai, Ritu Singh.
Well, what a roller coaster ride year 2018 has been, and with that, it's also time to wrap up this special edition of Rewind 2018.
Here's wishing all our viewers a very happy, healthy and prosperous 2019.